Coming up, I'm going to implore that you find meaning in your work before it's too late. And then, the job you applied for that you're frustrated you didn't hear anything about, it might not exist. We'll break that down next. My name's Ken. I'm here to help you win at work. This is the Ken Coleman Show. Here's some sobering data to get us started, but there's good news, so don't get freaked out here. On average, you will only live for about 4,000 weeks. Some of you are like, how many weeks have I got? Well, obviously we don't know. This is just an average. But of those 4,000 weeks, 33% of your time is spent at work. This is for most people. 33% of your time. Now, just let that soak over you right now. So if you were to block your day into threes, and we'll do that, for example, we're sleeping, we are working, and we are hanging out at the house, hanging out with family, hobbies, you get it. So 1/3 of your life is going to be spent at work. Is there any wonder why there is so much soul sickness in the world? When we see substance abuse, we see anxiety and stress numbers through the roof. This stuff didn't even exist. Can I just tell you something? And I don't want you to hear something that I'm not saying. I'm not minimizing anxiety, but let me just tell you what's going on. I grew up in the 80s and 90s. Can I tell you we never heard the word anxiety? Never heard it. Never heard it at all. It wasn't even a thing that anybody talked about. What's going on? Well, there's a whole lot of factors, but one major factor into this explosion of anxiety and stress and burnout, words that we hear all the time, they've become, unfortunately, discussed like a disease. And in some cases, it's almost like people are wearing them like it's a t-shirt. It's become a part of our American identity. Well, one major factor is this right here. 1/3 of your life, even if you're not thinking about it that specifically, you know how much of your life is spent at work. And to the extent that it is not meaningful, and work, by the way, cannot and never will be meaningful if you aren't using what you do best to do something you enjoy, to produce results that you care deeply about. Let me say that again. Work cannot, work will not ever be meaningful if you are not using what you do best. That's talent, skill, to do work you enjoy, to produce results you care deeply about. It's not possible. So if work is not meaningful, it becomes damaging. There's no middle ground. Let me give you an example. Some of you go, well, I don't understand that. Can I just go do my thing and kind of go home? Okay. Let's say that you're not working in a negative, toxic environment, because that would be an extreme. And that can weigh on you, obviously, very quickly, do damage fast. We all understand that. Well, let's just say you're in an okay environment. It's not toxic. It's not great. It's not toxic. And, your job doesn't set you on fire. It's not meaningful, but it's functional. You're not miserable. You don't hate it. Here's what happens. Over time, that just becomes nothing more than a routine part of your day. No positive emotion. And at some point, even though I just said there weren't any major negatives, the lack of positive emotion, in other words, enjoyment, anticipation, enthusiasm, all of those things that the human spirit craves, you become bored. And boredom is really, really sly, because boredom will burn you out and make you feel soulless. So, back to some data. A third of your life is spent at work. We've been talking about 4,000 weeks. How about this one? The average American will spend 90,000 hours at work in their lifetime. Just run that number through your head. And just think about that. So, the reason I bring this up is because there is a tension between providing and meaning when it comes to work. So let's break that down, because I think it's important for you to wrestle with this, to actually do something with this today. Okay, so if you're listening to me, watching this, and you're going, I get it, Ken. I get we spend a minimum of a third of our life at work. I get the burnout thing. I get the stress thing. I get the anxiety thing if I'm not doing some work that I'm good at, that I enjoy, and that produces a result that matters. But I feel like I can just get through. And there's a lot of you that are listening, watching right now, and you're kind of going, that I think that might be me. But we've got to understand there is a natural tension between, Ken, I've got to work. I've got to pay the bills. There's a tension there. I get it. I have the same thing. I got expenses. I get it. I have a life to fund. Okay. So there's a tension there between providing, and that is a natural pressure. If you live below your means, it should be a healthy tension, a healthy pressure, if you will. It should be healthy. All right. But what happens is, certainly in American culture, and I think we see this a lot in Asian cultures as well, we put all of the focus on providing, and we just push meaning to the side as though that's just an outcome that a few fortunate people, they get in their life. Good for them, happy for them, jealous of them, whatever. And it's just I get it, kind of, that would be nice. And so that we allow the tension between the two to go, the meaning part, you know what? That would be nice, but I don't know. And we come up with all these excuses as to why we wouldn't pursue meaningful work. And we sell it to ourselves that, hey, I'm being a responsible adult. I am adulting, right? And so therefore we rationalize taking our soul and our heart and putting them in a box over here. And then we go do work, soulless, meaningless, emotionless in a positive way. In fact, it's just negative. And then we attempt to, when we get done with work, come back home, open up the box, pull out our heart, pull out our soul, and try to re-inject it. Now, again, I understand this is a very kind of kind of extreme way of looking at this, but that's what's really happening. But here's the problem with that. Because you spend a third of your life at work, this idea of separating personal you from professional you is not reasonable. It's not doable. You can't, for the simple reason that, how many of you have had something bad happen to you at work and it rocked your world and you couldn't stop thinking about it? You couldn't stop feeling it when you went home. Come on. Of course that's the answer. Everybody's had that happen. Why? Because there's not a difference between professional you and personal you. It's just you. And so I bring this up very simply because of the data that always makes me cringe when I see that people get to the end of their life and one of their main regrets is they did not do what they truly wanted to do. This has implications personally and professionally, but a lot of it is professionally. They didn't go after that thing. They thought, you know what, as a pro, because I'm a pro, I get paid for this. I'd like to get paid to do this. And so what happens is they get to the end of their journey and they reminisce about it. And then they actually become regretful. I want you to reminisce and go, man, that was a ride. Oh, let's get the photo book out because that was fun. Hey, folks, I want to tell you about Aiden. He started at Bethel Tech 2 weeks after graduating high school, and less than a year later, he's 19 and working as a full-stack software developer. He loved the idea of being able to work at his own pace, but what he really thought was cool was Bethel Tech's faith-based learning environment and being with classmates who had a similar worldview. Now, if this is you, or if you have a son or a daughter that's looking for the next step out of high school, and they may be tech-minded, at least interested, you need to talk to Bethel Tech. Listen to this. Fortune Magazine named them as a top 10 best UX UI bootcamp for 2024. And right now, they're offering you 10% off because you listen and watch The Ken Coleman Show. They also allow you to pay cash, and I know you'll like that. Go to betheltech.net/Ken Coleman for details. Terms and conditions apply. Welcome back to the Ken Coleman Show. Hey, if you're watching or listening, would you help us spread the word? You can do that by giving us a follow on podcast and a 5-star review. If you're watching via YouTube, subscribe and click on the share button and share that video. Okay, so I'm going to try not to get too fired up, but this is I think, a moral problem in the world of work. And what's interesting is it is being positioned by those who are doing this thing in the world of leadership as, it's not immoral at all. And I think it's absolutely immoral. And I think it's causing a lot of stress, it's causing a lot of emotional damage. What is it? Here is the headline. This is a CBS News article that I have in my hands. Headline: that job you applied for might not exist. Here's what's behind a boom in ghost jobs. When I first saw this, I just shook my head. This is straight up awful. There's just no sugarcoating this. What is this? Let's get into this. More companies are admitting to posting realistic-looking job openings that don't exist. It's catfishing. In the corporate world, it's fake. It's some sick dude posing as a woman or whatever catfishing is. I don't even know. Is that kind of the deal? Yeah. I remember the poor guy that played linebacker. He was an All-American for Notre Dame, Manti Te'o. It was the most famous case of this. Poor guy. Ruined his life. Embarrassed the crap out of him. It's awful. What I'm about to share is catfishing in the corporate world. It's corporate catfishing. I wish I'd have come up with this earlier. You could title the show that, because that's what this is. Here we go. 40% of companies, 40%. Did you catch that? 40% of American companies admit to posting a fake job listing this year. God save us. This is from a May survey of 650 hiring managers from the career site Resume Builder. 3 in 10 companies currently have fake listings on their sites. And hiring managers themselves are often behind these ghost jobs. Now, are you ready to get really upset? 7 in 10 hiring managers say that they believe that corporate catfishing is a morally acceptable practice. And it's beneficial. Oh my gosh. Okay. I got to be honest with you. I'd love to get these 7 out of 10 people in a room. And I would literally love to get one of those those nondescript rooms, Alex, that you see on these, sometimes you see these when they'll test out products or whatever, and then just getting people in there and just kind of saying, tell me what you think. I'd like to get those 7 out of 10 catfishers in the room, put them under the lights, cameras rolling, and I would want them to walk through why this is morally acceptable. Because let me tell you what it actually does. Here's what it does. This makes the job seekers already difficult search and stressful search. It makes it so much worse. And let me tell you what else it does. If word were to get out that companies were doing this, it would absolutely hurt their brand. You watch me come up with evidence right now, Alex, that there's a big-time company in Nashville doing this, and we put it out, and it went all over Nashville. Let me tell you something. It would absolutely hurt the business. It would absolutely erode trust and hurt the business. Kind of needs to happen. That's what we need. We need some investigative reporter to literally expose this. And I would sing it from the mountaintops. I think this is so morally reprehensible. So 7 out of 10 hiring managers say that corporate catfishing is morally acceptable. I say it's lying. Do you think lying is morally acceptable? God help me what the answers might be to that question. We live in such a wacky world today. Lying is not and never will be morally acceptable. All right. Why do they think it's morally acceptable? The CBS article gives us more of the data from the Resume Builder survey. Here are the motives for corporate catfishing, which is posting a job that doesn't actually exist. This drives me crazy. One of the reasons is that leaders want to trick current employees into thinking that the business is not only growing, but making an effort to hire more workers and alleviate their existing workloads. So leaders are trying to trick and manipulate people who are overworked, overloaded, into thinking that help is on the way. This is straight up mental and emotional manipulation. That's evil. Another reason hiring managers said their goal is to signal to current employees that they are replaceable. Oh, great. So now we're going to hold a gun to their head. That is morally reprehensible. It is manipulation. It is evil. And then this is just pure laziness. 60% hiring managers said they just collect resumes for a fake job listing just to have some talent on file for a later date. No intention of hiring anyone. Now, Resume Builder asked these hiring managers, does this work? And most say it does. 70% of them said posting fake job listings boosted revenue. 65% said the job ads had a positive impact on morale. Bull. That's a lie. By the way, are we supposed to believe these people who said they openly think it's okay to lie? So now I'm supposed to believe that it boosted productivity? It boosted morale? That's an absolute lie. By the way, nobody at CBS News calls this stuff out. Nobody's calling this out. I'm calling it out. Nobody's calling this out. This is absolute garbage. I don't believe that it helped morale. I will say, I'll bet you there was a short-term spike in productivity. Why? Let's go back to a simple example. Let's go back to being a kid or a teenager and your mom or dad came in and said, you got to clean your room, and they walked away. Did your productivity jump up? Probably not. But if mom and dad walked in and said, I'm standing here, you need to get started. Someone hovering over you, threatening you, punishing you potentially. Listen, fear is what drove productivity spikes in these instances. It wasn't positive morale boosting engagement, which boosts productivity. That is not what happened here. You stick a gun to somebody's head, they will do what you tell them to do. And that is emotional. It's the same emotional thing as what they're doing here. Oh, I'm gonna put out a job posting and make sure you know about it. The job posting is for your gig. It's manipulation. And here's what I know. Fear tactics do work, but only for a short time. Productivity is not going to stay up if this is what you continue to do to manipulate people. You know what they're going to do? They're going to grow weary of feeling like the shoe is about to drop on them all the time. And you know what they're going to do? They're going to start looking. And eventually, after they look, they're going to leave. This is an awful, awful practice. Let me mention one other collateral piece of damage here. Corporate uppity-ups and people that are doing this kind of crap, it's selfish. I want you to think about the other person on the end of that application. They applied for a job with some hope, and you are one more cricket sounding to them, and the lack of response wears on people mentally and emotionally. It is absolutely damaging to people who might be struggling mentally, emotionally. And they get a little hope when they apply for your fake job. You liars. Stop this. Welcome back to the Ken Coleman Show. Hey, if you aren't where you want to be and you're just suffering from a lack of confidence about what the next move is, the antidote to a lack of confidence and courage to kind of step out is very simple. It's clarity. And that's why I created what I believe is the signature tool of my work. It is the Get Clear assessment. It will measure what you do best, what you enjoy doing most, and the results that motivate you. This information is vital to be able to ideate about new paths. It is vital to confirm choices that you're thinking about. And you can get it in the brand new book, Find the Work You're Wired to Do. The assessment comes with the book. The assessment gives you the information you need on who I am, why I am that way. And then the book picks up with your assessment results, which is a detailed report, and it coaches you how to make the decision. So it's a wonderful combo. You can get it at kencoleman.com. Salt Lake City, Utah is where we go. Steve is there. Steve, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hi, Ken. It's a pleasure to talk to you today. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. What's up?
Thank you. So I'm kind of feeling stuck. I'm involved in very meaningful work, but I'm really struggling with motivation. I'm just wondering, am I in the wrong job, or is this just anxiety that's freezing me up, or something like that?
Did you say you kind of broke up?
Oh, sorry.
Excuse me, or I didn't hear you. Did you say you're doing meaningful work?
Yes, absolutely meaningful work. I work with teenagers.
Huh. And give me a little bit more. When is this something of a new development where all of a sudden you're losing motivation?
Yeah. So I've been in sales and sales management my entire working life. I'm 50 now, and about 7 years ago, I just realized I hated it. I wasn't motivated by money. It wasn't fulfilling. In fact, I'd been fired from the sales job. So writing was on the wall. I was not a good fit. So I switched over to education, and now I work with teenagers. And so I've been doing that about 7 years. Summertime seems to be a little tough for me because we're still expected to work, but there's no structure. It's kind of self-led during the summers. And then, with the semester coming up, I'm starting to feel the stress and I know what I need to do, but sometimes I just sit down in my office and I just can't get myself to do what I know I need to do.
Huh. When are you most motivated in this current role?
I would say it's when I'm up in front of the class.
Do you ever struggle to get the juice to walk in there and give your best when you're in front of them?
Well, there's a lot of, kind of structure that requires me to get up there and give my best. I'm not calling in sick for work. I never do that. When it's game time, I'm there. And I engage with them, and I really try to help them have a good experience.
But you're not naturally excited. Absent of the structure, you wouldn't be waking up going, "Man, I got to get in front of students today." Or is that something?
No. I've never woken up and thought, "Man, I am in the work I was meant to do." Okay. Although I really feel led by God that I should be doing something in this field. His fingerprints are all over this. Yeah. That's why I kind of feel stuck.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you called. Have you taken the Get Clear career assessment?
I have not.
Okay. Well, I'm going to give it to you today with the book, Find the Work You're Wired to Do, because this is going to be a deeper dive that you can do absent of me being with you. And so it's really going to help you. But you understand the methodology behind the assessment, yes? Have you heard it?
I've heard you talk about it on your podcast. Yes.
Okay, so what's the reason you feel stuck is because you are uncertain. It feels like you've got some doubt about what it is. What is this work that Steve is wired to do? Or do you feel like you know and you just don't know how to get there? It's one or the other.
It's almost like somebody told me this is the work you're wired to do, and I'm like, are you sure? Because it doesn't feel like it sometimes.
Well, then I got to tell you that it's not. So I would say that you feel that you just don't know what it is. Is that right?
Yeah, I'd say that's right.
Okay. Has there ever been a point in your professional life where you felt like, man, I love this work?
Absolutely.
What was it?
So in my interactions with these teenagers, I get to teach them some life-changing lessons. We actually study scripture together. I've seen them connect with God on a very personal level in our classrooms, and those are the most rewarding. Or when a student comes up after class and says, "You know what? This is exactly what I needed today." Those are the times when I feel like I'm in the zone, and it's really, really rewarding. It's getting to that point, prepping for that I struggle with.
When you say prepping, what do you mean?
Oh, lesson prep. What am I going to teach them today? What are they going to do today? What do I need to learn personally so that I can channel this?
You don't like doing any of that. That's not fun for you. That saps you.
That's the work part of the job. Yeah.
Okay. I think we're starting to narrow down here. So it's not preparing the content and even delivering the content. It feels like it's something else.
It's not delivering the content, because when I'm with the teenagers, it's awesome. It's when I'm all by myself and I have to put this lesson together and figure out what we're going to do as a class, especially during the summer.
But it's not just summer. I guess what I'm trying to think is, I think you need something that is almost less structured. I think it's the structure that saps your energy.
I didn't think about it that way.
I don't know. Is that true? It feels like if I just put you in a role where you were almost like let's take your current format. I don't know if it's the classroom teaching that you enjoy the most as much as the interacting and almost coaching, counseling these kids would be far more. Like if so, let me throw out an example. Tell me how this feels. We're doing a field test real quick.
Sure.
What if we got you out of the classroom environment where you were prepping and doing all the things that come with the traditional classroom environment?
Yeah.
And I put you in a guidance counselor office, and you had a steady stream of kids all day long coming to just share with you any kind of thing they're dealing with, from personal to academic, and you were a guidance counselor, and that was your role. How does that feel to you?
It feels, I don't know if this is the right word, but it feels easier, more natural.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get in my head when I have too much time to think.
Well, I think you're absolutely a guy who overthinks.
Yeah.
So what have you thought about? A guy who overthinks has an answer. What if we removed all barriers to entry? Time and money, skill was there. What would you try to do tomorrow if you could just make a perfect day and you got paid for this day? What would you do? Just tell me. Forget about job title. Forget about industry. Tell me, what would you do tomorrow that you would go, Ken, if I got paid to do this during the day, I would be out of my mind excited.
Ken, truthfully, I don't know.
That's not true. That's not true. That's
I've
not
heard
true.
you push people on this, but I just don't know.
That's not true. That's not true, because you already have some clues. What is the one thing you enjoy most about being with these young people? Be specific. The one thing you love most about being a teacher. What is it?
Well,
be specific.
Hilarious.
No, that's no. Well, I'm talking about what you're doing. The thing that you go, now this I love. Tell me one specific thing.
I love it when they feel hope.
Okay. Now we're getting somewhere. See, I think you're really, if I talk to everybody that knows you, would they tell me that you're really good with people?
I think they would.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And would you say that that you're good with people yourself? Do you believe that?
I'm trying. I've offended my share.
No, dude. See, here you are again. You're. I'm not asking you to be. I'm saying other people say you're good with people. Do you believe you're good with people? All right. Listen, Steve. I'm going to tell you something, brother. I think you need counseling. I cannot coach a person who does not believe that they have something to offer. And I think you are struggling to believe that you have something good to offer in the world of work. I think it's that serious. And there's a reason for that. So I'm going to take one other stab, and then I'm going to give you the assessment. I want you to take it. And you know what, guys? Let's get Steve back on the show when Steve's got some assessment results that I can actually lead him through. But Steve, I'm going to get you started. There are four types of work in the world, 4 areas of work. People work, process work, idea work, and object work. People work, you understand that. Process work, you understand that. Idea work, you get that. That's in the area of ideas. So I straddle people and ideas, right? I'm creating content, writing books, yada, yada, yada. And I'm always engaging, coaching with people. All right. The last one is object. That's like building something, fixing something. You understand that, yes?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Stop thinking and just tell me, what are those areas, people, process, ideas, or objects, where you have the most talent?
I'd say it's people.
People, I agree. And then now tell me which area you enjoy working the most, people, process, ideas, or objects. It's not hard. You've already selected. Which area of work do you enjoy? Do you like working with people? Do you like working with processes? Do you like working with ideas? Do you like working with objects the most? What we can straddle, but just where do we think we enjoy the most?
Probably ideas.
Okay. That now we've got somewhere. We're starting, okay? We're starting on the process of, wait a second, if Steve's really good with people but loves ideas, now we've got some clues. And I think this is all consistent with what you've told me so far. I just think you're so down on yourself to kind of go, what is the thing that I actually want to do? If I remove all of these limiting thoughts, what is it that I would want to do? Because when somebody says to me, Ken, I can't tell you what a perfect day at work would look like, what I would be doing, you are so in your head, you can't even allow your heart to answer. Make sense?
Yeah,
so
makes sense.
I've got a great tool to get clear assessment. Hang on the line. All right, hang on the line. We're going to get you the assessment. I want your results. Let's get him back on. We'll do some more heart surgery, Steve. This is the Ken Coleman Show.
Thanks for listening to the Ken Coleman Show. For more, you can find the show on demand wherever you listen to podcasts and watch the show on YouTube. You can also find Ken across all social media by following @Ken Coleman.